Allora, on my part, welcome to Design for Health, which is the session that will take place this afternoon here. We are in Milan. It's the Design Week in Milan, which is world famous. Everybody comes to Milan to see all the new features in design, in furniture, and it was given a very strange, apparently strange subject, but very interesting, which is design for health. So we're not going to be talking about furniture or design, but about health today. Okay, and our main theme is the inflammatory, which is part of the problems that we sustain in our life. Why are we talking about health and prevention here? The idea is to design a sustainable health model so that we can go and understand better which is the prevention that we can have so not to have diseases later on. Scientists have recognized the impact of low-grade chronic inflammation, the impact that it has on disease and prevention, and the significance our daily habits have on whether we live or we live badly or eventually we die. So prevention is the theme of today. And with this in mind, we are going to be having interdisciplinary approach to this topic. So, and because the nutrition, the cognition, the movement, and the environment, we believe that are linked among themselves and very important factors in modern lifestyle. So we have, let me introduce the people that you see sitting there. And first of all, let me introduce Heinz Beck, which is, hello Heinz, which is
conference so important for human beings.
Thank you very much, Heinz, for the encouragement. Heinz will have to be leaving in about half an hour, so we will start with him. He is a chef, but not only a chef, he's a scientist of the food. And we'll see how important food is in the anti-inflammatory processes. Then we have Andreas Kipar. Hello, Andreas. He's an architect, he's a visionary, he's been working in Riyadh on the Urba Park design, but he also worked in Milan for the expo that was here a few years ago. We have Mauro Gianetti, which is CEO of the United Emirates Cycle Team. He has a mission from the royal family to transfer health from the champions to the community. We have Giuseppe Vercelli, master of the mind for human performance in sports and otherwise. He keeps athletes at the top of their game, has been working for Juventus for the past 10 years, and we'll talk about the psychology, how much psychology is important in keeping inflammation under control. And of course, last but not least, we have Fabio Cavalli, who is our padrone di casa today. He is our guest today because he is the one that keeps together this team, which is a very interesting team. And we have also Pietro Formisano. Hello, Pietro. Pietro is a professor of clinical pathology at the University of Naples Federico II. His interests are based on two pillars: adipose tissue dysfunctions and inflammatory biomarkers. The research group that he leads in Naples is involved in studies aimed to understand how lifestyle factors may change the interplay between adipose tissues, tessuto adiposo, and other organs. And the main goal is to identify potential targets to tackle in this transition, and as well as the progression of diseases, which is diabetes, which is one of your main subjects, cancer, and cardiovascular disease. Okay, let's start. Then we'll go to Heinz very rapidly. But tell us about the importance. I know you have a few slides. If you can start with the first slide, it will give you an idea on how much this theme, which is not well known among people, was tackled by in the United States, where Time put out a cover exactly on the subject that we're going to be talking about today. The secret killer, inflammation, the secret killer.
Right.
Pietro.
Yes, many.
Did I?
Hello, everybody, and many thanks to, especially to Fabio, for having put such a great and stimulating environment together. And I'd like, I mean, very simply, I would share with you some of thoughts that we had with Fabio at first, and then I was already making some.
How many years ago, Fabio, you put together this team?
Well, when did we start? 16.
2016? So
2000
6 years. You've been working together for 6 years.
Well, yes. The problem. Let's go straight to the problem. Otherwise, we'll lose time.
Okay.
And the problem is the inflammation. The inflammation is the true enemy. And that's not why the scientists are saying that, but because the journalists say that. You see here, these attracted the attention of the Time a few years, well, already about 20 years ago. So now it's time to recognize the inflammation as the real enemy for our health. And inflammation is a key for many, many, many diseases. Maybe all human diseases are characterized at a certain extent by inflammation. Very rapidly. Inflammation is not always bad. Inflammation is good at the very first, because it's our defense against insults, against pathogens. So we need inflammation, of course. But the inflammation that we need, it has to be very short, for a very short time, allowing our body to repair the damage done, and then must be resolved. If it's not, that's a problem. And the failure of resolution for inflammation leads to pathological inflammation, continuous inflammation, which is generated mainly by the environment. Nowadays, we can consider the environment as the major culprit of inflammation. And then I will stop just to show you this last slide. Our attention, our focus has to be about the progression from health to disease. We must intercept the inflammation at very early steps. And inflammation is involved in what I call pre-disease, very early stages in which we may exert a primary prevention. Okay. Then the inflammation goes worse, and we pass to another state, which is the pre-disease, directly pre-disease, very high level of inflammation. We need to identify the at-risk individuals and need to do the secondary prevention in this case. And finally, the specific, the disease, where it requires no more prevention, of course, but specific care, specific therapy. So now, what we need to do is what we were taking actions with Fabio, to act, to do something, and to have something to monitor the inflammation levels. The monitoring is required because we don't know. Most of the times, the people which are inflamed, they don't even know they are inflamed. And we don't have so many tools to understand that we are inflamed. Okay? So we need to be extra careful in identifying the tools for inflammation. So we need the biomarkers. And we need to act once we recognize the biomarkers. And what with Fabio we are trying to do, and with the very innovative way of Fabio did, is to envision something to carefully profile the inflammation levels of the individual, without any blood driven, without any saliva without any biological fluid to examine, but just by understanding who the individual is. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that's the goal. The goal is to profile an individual, to avoid that these individuals will progress from the road from health to disease. Now, I think I can stop here.
Yes, you can pick it up later. We have 15 minutes to go with Heinz, and we have to make it. Fabio, just tell Fabio. You all know Fabio, of course. Fabio is a philanthropist in this phase of his life. He's been a businessman before. He's been the inventor of Mondo Biotech, which was a very interesting startup in Switzerland, because you had an idea which was very interesting. No, instead of taking care of big diseases, the ones that everybody knows, to go into the world of unknown diseases, the ones that people don't really know where they start and how to cure them. This was the idea behind Mondo Biotech, right?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. It was the idea to create a small community, very focused on people that
Aspetta, dagli il tuo Pietro. To create a small community focused on...
Yes, focus on diseases that any person take care. Today is still 7,000 diseases without treatment. Mm-hmm. And any person take care for a simple way that for the pharma is not a business because they are too small. You need too much time to discovery. And I think now using the new technology, using the new social media mentality, you can really help a lot the scientist group to make research.
Then you switch to this idea of tackling inflammation.
Yes.
And you put together this team. Because you believe that inflammation can be derived from various sources, right?
But of course, I think it's not myself that have to reply about this, but scientists around the world show clearly from the nutrition part, from the movement part, from the psychological part, or for the ambient is a key factors. And I think we did something very simple, because it's very basic, but see that it's basic and simple, people has a problem to understand. Because what we are doing is really the logical pathway where you are starting, and it makes any sense to cure when you can starting to prevent.
Okay. We'll go back to this theme slightly later on. And you chose Heinz Beck to be part of this team because nutrition is, of course, fundamental in this.
I think I had the chance that incredible people, like of course Heinz, that it's a very, very incredible person, but I have a lot of people, they follow this philosophy, and I think it's just fun and nice that all people that I meet in my life, now they come together, like you, Carlo. We meet, I think, 35 years ago for the e-commerce. And I think it's a dream for me.
At the beginning of startups.
Yes. Where it was ensured that you cannot buy by a credit card. I remember the conference that I had with Carlo. Any person believed that one day you can buy in internet. Any person will use the credit card in internet.
So we're really talking about the beginning. Yeah. Okay. And what did Heinz bring to your group?
I think Heinz first is an incredible artist, in my opinion. When you ask me who is Heinz, Heinz is first a too much intelligent person, maybe, totally artistic. Very scientist, and for kitchen, I think he's speaking well the result of Michelin, the capacity, and he understood from beginning that using in the right way the food, how the people can eat, you can really prevent and help the scientist community to go forward even into research.
Okay, Heinz is. I'll introduce him very briefly. He's one of the most well-known chefs around the world, Pluri-Star. And with an enormous curriculum of books, of prizes, incredible number of prizes worldwide. But to make things short, he published several books which are Arte e Scienza del Servizio, Art and Science of Service, Vegetarian, Finger Food, and more lately, Passione Pura, Pure Passion, Diabetes and Nutrition, and Insufficient Respiratory and Alimentation. He also published the best of Heinz Beck, which gives the idea when one has a best of his work, he must have done a lot of work. Good afternoon, Heinz. I know that you have to go quickly, so we start with you. And I know that recently you did two interesting researches on the theme that we're talking about today. One was called Nutrient, and the other one regarded the stress postprandiale, which is after lunch stress. But let's start from for saying that you are also a scientist besides being a very well-known chef. Why did you start with the interest of the idea of applying scientific theories to the way you create your alimentation, your nutrition?
Okay, in my first life of a chef, I was starting to how to cook well, because this is the base everybody is looking when he goes to a chef to eat. But then the second part of my life, I understood how important is to eat in the proper way. And when I understood that the Neiman diet is so badly treated by the people and gives such a negative sensation to the people, I was looking better into what is diet about. Because in the end, the word diet is coming from Greeks, and it's only determining rules. So what we have to give to the diet is the rule. But in the rule, we can do a lot of beautiful things so that this food, what we're eating, is nice to look into and fantastic to eating. And for this, 20 years ago, I've started to go much more in how is happening in our organism when we eat, and what are the risks when we eat not in the proper way. So on this, I have started to make part of different researches we are doing, and researches we will be doing in the future, in order to eat in the proper way, to avoid disease, using your food to prevent disease, because the best therapy for a disease is not getting the disease. And for this, the low-grade inflammation is a disease we can reduce the risk very much through the right alimentation, because in nature there are so many beautiful products who are helping us to bring down the anti-inflammatory disease. And of course there are as well ingredients who are making inflammatory. But the most of these ingredients are ingredients who are anyhow not to be eaten so much, like refined carbohydrates or very refined sugars, or preparations like fried products, junk foods, processed meals, or fat in cans. So what we have to do is to understand what is good for our organism and what is bad for our organism. For our organism, if we talk to anti-inflammation, very important are certain ingredients who are very rich on vitamin C, vitamin B, and polyphenol, quercetin, for example, very, very important, who helps us to bring down or fight against radical liver, free radicals. Sometimes
you mix languages besides ingredients, yes.
Bringing down the free radicals, because fighting against aggressivity of not the right
Say it in Italian.
No, it's
Or
okay.
Deutsch. We have interpreters here.
Fighting against these free radicals is very important. We have a lot of spices as well who are helping us to go.
But Heinz, before you go into
turmeric.
spices, tell us which are the ingredients which lower the level of inflammation that anybody can eat every day.
Okay, of course, berries, so fruits in general, but berries, especially the red berries, cherries, pomegranate is very good. Then, of course, fatty fish like scombro, tuna, it's very good as well. Then, green vegetables, leaves, with leaves, or broccoli, avocado. Then we have red pepper, bell pepper, and tomatoes. There we are very rich on lycopene as well. And then we have to understand if we want to have the lycopene more biodisponible, then it's better if the peppers and the tomatoes will be cooked. So it's not only the ingredients on themselves, it's as well how you process these ingredients and how you combine these ingredients. Turmeric is, for example, fantastic.
La curcuma, we say in Italian.
Spice. Or chocolate. Chocolate is fantastic as well.
Ah, that's something. This should draw an applause, actually. An applause for chocolate. Everybody loves chocolate. So it's important.
I have to say another thing, because it's not only how the vegetables or the fruits or what you eat. I have had a different talk with Pietro Formisano, and he has helped me very much to understand that it's as well when you eat, how you eat, and then especially as well how is your style of life, yeah? How important is to make the right sport. It has to be 150 minutes weekly at least, and that you have to sleep in the proper way, in the same hours of the night, and the deep sleep, and that you have to reduce your chronic stress, and to make more relaxing activities. You see, it's not only the food only, it's about the whole environment you're living into, the lifestyle you're living into. And if you're doing a mix about lifestyle, eating properly, feeling good, and environment, then you are on the right way to bring down sensible your anti-inflammation.
You did two researches lately, which are one on nutrient and the other one on postprandial stress. How are those related with inflammation?
Okay, what I did make part on a study was published in Nutrients. It's about how you can bring down the risk of ischemic stroke through polyphenols, and there You know, the polyphenols are very important in our organism as well to bring down inflammatory in our organism. And now, in the moment, we were starting a new project about immunoalimentation, and this is important to understand how to bring down the stress postprandial, because of course when we are eating after our lunch or after our dinner, we will have a very high stress.
You know that we have here Pietro Formisano from Naples, and whoever goes to eat in Naples has a postprandial stress. So what's the recipe for avoiding postprandial stress besides eating less?
This question is for me or for Pietro?
No, è una battuta, dicevo che Palmisano viene da Napoli e a Napoli abitualmente dopo pranzo.
Because Pietro is a really marvelous and great scientist, and I'm really appreciating that I can make part of his friends, because I'm believing very much in interdisciplinary relations in order to work in a different way, because everybody is thinking different. And if you have one problem and you look into it from different sides and mixing knowledges, then it's very good to go in another direction where maybe me before haven't thought, or maybe Pietro haven't thought before. And this is very interesting. The last time when I have had Pietro on the telephone, I have talked a lot about how to arrange a diet and to look into the diet in order to bring down inflammation. Thinking about that, I don't know, Pietro, if you remember, to make a diet where we for a few weeks write down what the people eat normally, and then remove all of this, because if our organism is used to a certain food, maybe giving a totally different food, it will give a different stress to the organism and help to bring down the inflammation. But these are all in the moment theoretic, and now it's the moment to do it in a proper way.
So Pietro wanted to ask you something.
No, I don't want to ask anything to Heinz. Of course. Actually, Heinz, I'm very glad of what you said. But we did discuss a lot about making specific foods and follow the effect of these specific foods on the inflammation in humans. Actually, we have done something, of course. I'm really looking forward to work with you on this topic, actually, because we can arrange really novel recipes, novel foods, and to monitor the effect of those foods in inflammation. We already done something with in collaboration with Fabio, which has been published yesterday, actually, on Frontiers in Nutrition. It got accepted, so in a very good journal. And I'm looking forward to share with Heinz some more thoughts to be straight on his food, his idea of food, and on our idea of inflammation.
Then let me ask you both, Heinz and yourself, is this approach towards alimentation, to the things that you eat to lower the level of inflammation, is it good in general, for everybody, or each person has a different necessity?
Very good point.
This is an important point. Every human is different. and how the people are absorbing nutrition is different. So, of course, there will be a base of more or less who could be a perfect diet for everybody, but then you have, of course, to go into the personal needs of the people who can be a lot of different from one to the other. Yeah. Pietro, what do you think about?
Perfectly agree. We need to move towards a personalized approach to diet, even from an inflammation point of view. Because as I told you before, inflammation is an individual response to something. And we are all different. And I'm from Napoli, and Heinz is from Germany, and we do respond in a different way. And to different things.
So.
To different things. And also our immune system responds differently to food, actually. And so we need to go towards a personalized approach to diet-induced modulation of inflammation. I perfectly agree with Heinz.
Thank you, Pietro. Well, I'm very, very sorry. I would like to stay the whole day with you, but unfortunately...
Yes, I know you have to go. Just one last thing, one very, very last thing, Heinz. How do you manage to find the connection, to find the equilibrium between the taste of the food? Because, you know, you're a very well-known chef, and I suppose the people that come to eat at your restaurants like the taste, you know, appreciate the taste of things. How do you manage to connect this, to find a connection with the healthness in food?
You see, there are different points to approach it. First one is the raw materials. I'm using almost exclusively with biodynamic food or food coming from regenerative agriculture. Okay. So the quality of the produce is a high level of quality, who has a nice taste because they are growing in an environment where these vegetables, for example, get a beautiful flavor out of the soil. And then, of course, it's very important that these ingredients are extremely fresh and then processed in a proper way, helping them to give more flavor through techniques of cooking or to spices, with spices and with herbs. And in the end, you can do really nicely tasting, interesting to look into, attractive and fantastic smelling food. Because you know, when the first thing what you see when a plate is coming to your table is not how it looks, it's how it smells. Because before you see it, you feel it smelling, and then you're looking, it's beautiful, you taste it, it's fantastic, and what do you look more for? Then you will have a nicely looking, tasting, smelling food which is good for your organism. And this is the only secret. You know? And like I said before, diet is only giving you the rule what you have to do and what you have not to do. But in these rules, you can be the most creative person in the world, and you can really do a lot of things helping you to eat and enjoy food. But because the biggest problem is, if I say to somebody, you have to make a diet, he's feeling bad, mentally bad, because everybody associates a diet with renouncing to everything. And instead, it's not like this. If I give you a diet, you don't have to renounce. You have to think different. And by thinking different, you will act different. And by acting different, you can still enjoy life eating fantastic food.
Heinz, it's been a real pleasure and a privilege to have you on the board today. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And, I wish you a nice working day together. And sorry, next time I will be on the table with you.
That's what we're all hoping for.
Ciao, Heinz. Ciao, Heinz.
On the dinner table, I mean. Thank you very much, Heinz. Have a good trip. Okay, so sorry for the beginning, which was a little bit different from what we planned to do, but I think that you can resume your presentation, Pietro and Fabio, so we can get better into the world of anti-inflammation, the research and the methods, and eventually the proper cure for this.
I don't know if Fabio want to say something before, and then I'll continue. Do you want to say something before?
Oh, Heinz invited us all to dinner, eh? I mean, this is the real point of the whole afternoon, that we got an invitation from Heinz. Now, you all heard, you're all witnesses, okay? Okay.
No, I think I'm the last person to have an importance in this operation. I think what I did, I put in place a concept, and we used a new technology, we used a new mentality, a new culture, because I think the technology is just a small part of this operation, but this platform has an incredible power to bring the best mind of the world together.
Let me ask you something, because why has it taken 2016 and Fabio Cavalli to tackle the subject of inflammation in this way, in a holistic way, let's say, no, interdisciplinary, as we were saying? Why did the world at large not get interested in this theme before?
Very good question. Well, it's so easy to find easy food. It's so easy to have, I mean, life has changed, actually. And what we have faced during the last century, maybe, is a dramatic change in our lifestyle, in terms, even in terms of food, in access to food, for example. It's changed a lot. If you consider how long has lived the human being, for, I mean, 100,000 years, maybe?
You?
No. Human being. I'm a bit younger than that. The human being has lived, I mean, since so long time. And what has he done? He, she, what they did? They were fighting to get food. They were fighting even to I don't know, to fly away, to run away, to defend from animals. And so food was meaning fatigue, was meaning work. So that's why now the idea changed a lot. Now with a small coin you get easy food with the very high calories, actually, and because you need to I mean, you're hungry and you want to resolve. So it's not easy approach. I mean, the approach is not easy. Very many messages from around are not in that direction, actually. Now we are getting to the point.
Fabio, why did this come to your mind?
I think you need so many years, because you make a lot of mistakes. You have to try. You do something new that any person trusts you, any person believe you. So it's exactly when we meet together, when we are saying music will be downloaded. You remember in Genoa? The music will be downloaded. People say it's not possible. We will open new music store. In effect, they disappear. And I think what I try to bring together the people, and I have to say now is very successful story, because the top not just scientists, because they are artists. All these people, they are not scientists. Of course, they study scientists. But if you take from Giuseppe, from Kipar is not an artist, it's another planet as an artist. And you take Pietro, all these people, Mauro, they think different. Not they try to think different, they are different people. And now we get the chance to meet all together, and you need a lot of patience. Because I put in place this first concept in March 2011. Me too, I asked me why so many times. I asked myself, because the planning was 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. Now we are in 2023, 22, and we are in 23, and we are ready now. This is the true. Do something big, simple, it's difficult. Because what we're doing is maybe too simple to understand, but after when you have to put in place, it's very difficult. If you like, you can compare with a watch, the Swiss watch. I was visit some times ago a friend in one of the best watch company, and he told me to create a perpetual, you need 16 months work one person, 16 months, one watch.
60 months.
And this is unbelievable. You say, why? Because you try, you make, you have to try again, you have to change, after you have to put in place this, you have to clean. It's a lot of details.
Well, also in the information technology world, it takes 10 years usually for a startup to have success.
So
10 years.
And in additional, you have science. Science, you need a lot of time, because science you cannot do in 1 month, in 2 months, in years. Science, when you speak tomorrow, is 10 years.
Okay, but let me ask you again, because you gave us all the process. Why did it come to your mind of inflammation? Why? One morning, you suffer from inflammation those times? No?
No,
usually somebody gets interested when he has a problem.
Because I'm not involved, I see always this number that it was outside. And at the time, I asked to our ex-chief scientist, what is this number? They answer me, it's normal. Yeah, inflammation is normal. It's the big problem. I say, why any person do something in inflammation? Like every scientist, it's too simple to replay. Because in generally, big scientists try to do big things, very important, with the big company, with a lot of budget. Just to give you 2 numbers, and to develop any drugs, you calculate 10 years and 1 billion. This is the 2.
Something scientific.
If you turn it on, yes.
Something scientific, very easy to
Sure.
just to jump
Of
into
course.
what Fabio said. Let me just show you this. It's an impossible to read.
This is another slide of your presentation.
It's an impossible
What is
slide
this?
to read. Yeah, you see these stars here. These are star plots. They represent, each arm of the star represents a cytokine. Cytokine is a kind of inflammatory molecule. Cytokina, very good. Now, these are
very easy.
These are normal people. These are blood donors, apparently normal, and you see how different they are. You see here big stars with many inflammatory cytokines, very little.
What is very quick? What is a cytokine?
Cytokine is an inflammatory, mainly inflammatory. They may also have anti-inflammatory action, but these are inflammatory molecules released from our immune system, mainly from the immune system. But for example, the adipose tissue produce a lot of inflammatory molecules, a lot of cytokines, and it's very important to you know.
And this is the problem that goes with people overweight, right?
Yes, but these are normal weight people. For overweight people, you're perfectly right. More overweight you are, more inflamed you are. But we don't know if the overweight associated to a metabolically unhealthy profile or to a metabolically healthy profile. And even if you're lean individual, you may be metabolically unhealthy. Now, we are not talking about diseased person. We are not talking about sick person, but quote-unquote normal individuals, and each of them has a different inflammatory profile.
Yeah, we can see that the stars, as you call them, are all different.
Small stars.
140 people, different stars.
I am among them. I will not say who I am.
Your number. Okay. Okay, so the guy in 14 has a real problem, it seems.
That's right. Perfect. Well, he's normal individual.
Is it you? No, I'm joking.
No, it's not me. But that guy has a very strong inflammatory profile. So it doesn't mean he's sick now, but he has a
But
strong...
could be.
That's right. He is the guy who will benefit of a strong action to reduce inflammatory cytokine. And we learned, with the help of Fabio actually, we learned how to manage, how to understand which food, as also Heinz was saying, which food may reduce or may increase some inflammatory cytokines. You see, just to make an example, the red meat increases the levels of these cytokines here.
And unfortunately, pasta does as well. Huh?
Pasta does as well, but pasta much less than red meat, because
Okay.
it also increases some anti-inflammatory cytokines.
Oh, at the same time.
Yes, but more inflammatory side.
Then there are
And
all
you see,
those that reduce, which
and
are...
this is very, very interesting. The fruits, the dried fruit, the shelled, the shelled fruit, you see, reduces several inflammatory molecules like interleukin 1 beta, interleukin 6. And this was done with a very, very stimulating collaboration with Fabio. Then we started this work. As Fabio said, the science takes forever sometimes, maybe too much for in terms of company kind of thinking. But we ended up with these very interesting results, I believe. This is just to point out how different we are,
Of course.
and how we can act by reducing inflammation on ourselves.
What are those names? Age, smoke, physical, BMI? I don't know what
Because
it
we
means.
tested in the study with Fabio, we tested all these variables, these lifestyle,
Okay, I get it.
these risk factors. Age, unfortunately, is a risk factor. With the senescence, several cytokines increase, and we do something to reduce them. We can do something.
So is it proper to say that older people have more inflammation than younger people?
Generally speaking, yes. If they do behave in a certain way, you may find an aged individual having much less cytokines than a young individual.
Smoke doesn't help, right?
Not at all.
No. What is BMI?
BMI is body mass index, which means is a measure for fatness.
Okay. Then physical activity and dietary
Yeah,
habits.
physical activity, also extreme physical activity may also not be so good for inflammation. It depends then when you measure the cytokine levels. Of course, if you make an extraordinary effort to win a race, of course, the day after you will have very high levels of
soccer
inflammation.
players
Right,
the day
right.
after have problems on.
But in
Is
the
that
end-
your last slide?
What's that? Dietary habits. Here.
No, is that your last slide?
Yeah, this is my last Siebel
Okay.
slide. I don't want to go into scientific details. I don't
Okay,
think it's the
but I
case.
do want to know one thing before I let you go and we pass on to the other speakers. A normal person, you said that there are markers. I want to test my idea how much I am inflamed. How do I do it? I'm a normal person. I'm not a scientist. I'm not part of your gang, and I don't know what to do. What do I do?
That's a good point, very good point. There are some inflammatory markers, of course. They are not very good for low-grade chronic inflammation, and we are working to find more specific markers for low-grade chronic
Better markers,
inflammation.
yeah.
For example, there is a marker called CRP, or C-reactive protein, proteina C reattiva, which is a very important inflammatory marker. But it tells you if you are really inflamed. Doesn't tell you much about low-grade chronic inflammation.
Which is your theme, basically.
That's right. We want to intercept low-grade chronic inflammation before it gets worse and you get disease. That's our main goal.
No, but I don't stand a
just
chance
give
to.
me a call and
Okay, but okay, I give you a call. But a normal people on the street, what does he have to do to understand his grade of inflammation and his risk of worsening his situation?
make a call to Fabio.
Okay, okay. Then either you or Fabio. Okay, vabbè. This is the message.
Seriously speaking, there is no clear-cut marker of low-grade chronic inflammation.
So that's what you're working on,
That's
basically.
right. There are some inflammatory cytokines which are of some help, but they don't really help. I mean, they don't really tell you anything specific. What we're trying to do is to find the specific markers actually modulated by specific actions, specific foods. And for example, with Heinz, we can do serious work on his way of thinking about cooking.
Okay. Thank you,
sorry
Pietro,
I'm
for
being
now.
so long, too long,
No. I think you have 10 more years of work on this thing. Don't think you're going to get away. Don't think you're going to get away fast.
He's quite young.
He's young, yeah. We're sort of all young.
That's the price?
Spiritual, at least.
That's the price.
Okay, grazie, Pietro. You want to stand here with me?
No.
Okay, sit down then. Va bene. Fabio, you are the master here. Who next? Who connects better with the diet among them three?
All these individuals are incredible.
Of course.
I don't know, you prefer speaking about people taking care for Juventus in psychological?
I think we just won a Scudetto, so that's not really a point. That's not really a problem.
Or you prefer speak with someone that sure is not inflamed? Because when...
Okay, let's talk with the cyclist. Okay, let's talk with Mauro, who is a former champion in his own field. You won
That is
La Liegi Baston Liegi.
so many years ago. Forget this.
Yeah, so many years ago, but it's a tough race to win, huh? That's on the pavé. Is that?
No, it's
just
the climb,
street.
the
Okay,
climb,
okay.
yeah.
The pavé cycle races are incredible. Okay, and that was a long time ago, but now you have a very prestigious job. You were called by I understand, by the royal family of United Emirates to be an ambassador, to show how athletes, can be models for ordinary people.
But in fact, was not this the first question. Is start the project because the UAE, like many other countries in the world, they have a big problem with the cost of healthy. So a lot of obesity, a lot of diabetes, and the worst is that a big percentage of the people that become diabetic cause of the obesity, they will become Alzheimer. And it's in looking in the future, the cost of the healthy also for the UAE, that is a rich country, that they realize in 20, 30 years it will be near to impossible to maintain or to pay its cost. So they say, okay, what we do?
But because how is the health in United Emirates, in the Arab world at large? Are they healthy or are they not healthy?
No. That is,
Why?
Why we say before, no, why we should change our lifestyle, why we should change our food, or we should start to do sport.
So what's so bad in their lifestyle and
in
their
the
food?
lifestyle, everybody is, I don't say rich, but healthy, no, in the bank point of view, or money point of view. And so to become, to be Bedouins and to have a lot of money, that was to have more and more food, better drink, use the car to move 50 meters because it's very hot. So the healthy would be not to be healthy in the body or in the mind, but healthy with the money. And the money bring not an healthy
No, this is
lifestyle.
interesting. This is
So
interesting.
that's a lot of this. No movement, bad food, a lot of sugar.
They're all covered from head
of course.
to toe. So
So
a
that,
lack of vitamin D3. Yeah.
and that's bring so much people, a big percentage, too high percentage of obesity and diabetes. And again, why we should change? We need to have something we discover in our life. Okay, I'm not so good. Maybe I need to do something. Or I have a vision, a stimulation. Some need to change in our life.
It's what is called a cultural approach, right?
Exactly. So the UAE, they say, okay, we need to do something. We need to inspire or teach our population to do sport. And in my case, I say, okay, Mauro, we would like bring somebody to do cycling. So you can imagine in the UAE, I was yesterday in Abu Dhabi, it was 48 degrees. So to do sport is not so easy. And in fact, I say, okay, we take the challenge. If I will bring one people to bike, I will do 100% of increase because nobody bike. And so I start. And actually, that was 2014. And now in the UAE, I can say cycling is probably the most popular sport in only 6-7 years.
There are a few interesting things about this this work of yours. One is that you were called, am I right, by the royal family itself?
Yes.
So they up there understood that there was a problem with their people.
No, they take care of their population first, and also from their economy. And if they see in the future the costly of health that is impossible to affront, they need to do something. And the way is sport, starting from the young population. And so we start to say, okay, the team is arrived only the second time. And the beginning, it was to start with the idea to say, what do? We need to create the facility. We need space to bike. We need a road. We need close road. We need to go in the school. We need to teach the kids to bike. They are not able to bike because nobody have a bike. So we start in the school. We teach the small kids the first time to bike, and this is something we remind all our life. The first time we learn to bike, and to run away.
But they made
we start
piste ciclabili.
Yes, we are now
because in the sand it's kind of hard.
We create more than 1,000 kilometers of bikeway that we will reach 2,300, and many of them are very close. No car inside. We have the light with the solar panel that we can bike in the night, in the evening, on the morning early, because in the summer it's too hot. And again, we was growing this community starting from the young, but in one moment we say to have a better impact to the population, to have a team that is racing, that we can see in TV, UAE, that represent the country. That's because that is something special we can do in cycling, that the sponsor become the name of the team. And I propose that if we will do a team, we will have a team that participated in Giro d'Italia and Tour de France. The Emirati itself, they will feel part of something, and they will start. And that was an explosion. When we start with the team, in fact, more and more that was in all Emirati was maybe 10 bike shops, a 9 million population, and now it's 100 bike shops. And so many people bike because finally they discover, okay, it's possible bike. We can do. They do in Tour de France with 35 degrees. We can do it also here. And this is why the community is growing.
So the athletes were in some way the ambassadors of a new lifestyle.
Yes, because from one side, our rider, we won the last 2-time Tour de France. So when we win the Tour de France, we just not finish our job. We will use that image. We go in the school with our riders. We go in the school around the UAE with the champion, and we teach. So because we need to start from a generation, and mostly are the kids. They go bike and they say, hey, Dad, come with me. Hey, Mom, come with me to bike. Is the reverse.
Sure.
Not the parent that they ask to the kids, but in the reverse. And this is better. And they discover that cycling is probably the sport where we can share good moment. When we bike or we ride with friends, with kids, we can talk. When we run or play tennis, we cannot talk. But if we want to have a good moment with our kids, we bike 1 hour, 2 hours. When we at home, never we have 2 hour time to talk but if we bike together, we can talk all the time. And this make also an healthy increase of everybody to be good, an inspiration. We have everybody a little bit ambition to increase our level. So what I can do to be better? If I eat less sugar, less meat, I will be better. If I lose 5 kilo, 3 kilo, 1 kilo, I will be better. So we create this motivation. We give an opportunity to understand that they are not well, that they are maybe inflamed. And then this is why the cooperation with the project of Fabio, I see immediately is was the best, because now the people look what I can do. And thanks to this platform, the Anti-Inflammaging platform, they can find all the answer to their question.
Fabio, tell me about your collaboration, because Fabio is a resident part-time or full-time, I don't know, of Dubai, so United Emirates. So you probably met there, I suppose. So you heard of Mauro. No, you heard before?
No,
you were in contact for a long time?
I know Mauro from 35 years, 40 years.
You've known everybody for 40 years,
Yes.
okay. But how did the
I
connection
think
between...
it was a pure coincidence that I was looking something taking care from the inflammation, because I think that the science that they have inside the UAE cycle team, I think is one of the best in the world with all sport together.
So there's a lot of science in your team.
But it's a research company, absolutely
A
on top
research
level.
company. Oh, that's
Absolutely,
interesting.
because they take care from the athletes. Because they don't look just the result, they take care from the athletes. For example, they stop to race before that they are tired, and not too late. And I think they bring together the best scientists in the world from America, from Cape Town, from Italy, from France. And together we bring a little know-how from the lifestyle, and I think we share, we learn together. We learn each other, and of course our goal, in particular the goal from Mauro personally, and of course my too, is to help the government changing mentality. We hope to starting well with UAE, with Saudi Arabia, and with this country, because they need more. But of course, the wish, the dream is that everybody in the world will use this platform to be healthy. I think when you see the cost of health in America is trillion now, not billion, it's trillion. Even just in UAE is 5 billion, the health cost.
So since we're in a world of data, basically, what kind of data do you exchange between...
More data you have, more you learn. More data you have, and not data related just from the health, all data together. And this is, I think, the value of what we are doing, because we bring together people from different angles. If you see, for example, the work that Andreas makes, he still create an incredible park in Saudi Arabia, and he make the park Expo Dubai, he make in Milan in a new place to give green to all the Italian citizens. And is in a big part of decreasing diseases or stay healthy, because we don't like speak about diseases. Our philosophy is to be in a health promotion. I like to promote that I'm healthy, not that I stay away from diseases. I like to stay healthy.
Since your company is also called Artificial Intelligence, no? It has in the logo. What part does artificial intelligence have in all this?
It's like to ask you who don't have a smartphone here today. Mm-hmm. I think the AI, machine learning, all this new technology is commodities. And of course, the technology play an incredible positive role in health. Because more you go in health, more you need technology to speed up the reading, to speed up the discovery, and bring the people together. Because you see, even in this hour, we are able to bring people together thanks this culture as social.
But you have an analytical group of people that checks out the data that come from various parts?
Absolutely. We have the internal team that take care.
That's what I'm interested in.
Yes, and the value is the platform versus the community outside, because it's like Uber. I think so our comparable can be Uber. Why Uber is big? Because they have a lot of drivers. Why we know a lot? Because we will have, and we still increase incredible value on data, on know-how. A lot of people can bring the know-how, the experience from years in one place.
Okay. So we still have the mind and the ambient. Let's start from the ambient. Who was looking at me? We'll get to the mind later on. Allora, Andreas, you create landscapes, basically, which should help people live better. Is that the focus at the end? Besides the, let's say, the aesthetical approach, the idea at the end is to make people feel better. Is that so?
Yes, we could say yes. That's in a very easy way. We create landscape. That's normally that people are thinking about. Okay, you create a landscape, and then we start to say, no. You create your own landscape. You are your landscape. We all are our landscape. So, what we create is to bring together different situations and to make sure that our environment will be a little bit healthier than before. So our daily life landscape, our cities are our daily life landscape. And at the end, what we need to do is to bringing back nature in our life. Because landscape without nature is a stony landscape. So we feel not so bad, not so good, no? So what we need is a new landscape, a green landscape. So it's a nature landscape. It's something that bringing back nature in our lives, bringing back nature in our cities, bringing back nature in our food, tasting the landscape. So something starts for the future that we all understand that we need more nature in our own life, but not far away. So that was the idea for our last 200 years for industrialization. Now you can do everything. And then maybe you have 20 days in the year for holiday to go out. Restoration. That's all. But now what we want is the daily restoration. By our daily work, by our daily life. So that is what we are looking for, to bring back nature in our cities. After 200 years, we try in any way to bring out, to cut.
Okay. So you did a very, talking about this, you did a very interesting project which was called something like the Green Race.
Yes.
Which is, you explain, which is, making pathways to the periphery, which has always been a problem for whatever big city, from the center of the city to the periphery, have what? Walking spaces, nature spaces?
Yeah, that is the most important things. Is like James Hillman, a psychologist, and he teaches us that what we need is a new perception, no? To see something what is behind. So in a city like Milan, 20 years ago, we had the first meeting with the World Health Organization. And I remember very well, in the Dome Square, we make the first meeting. And then we decided to say, physical activity against obesity. But where? Where will we be able to do our physical activity? They asked me. 20 years ago. And then we said, oh, you are right. We need not only bicycle paths, we need not only, we need space, but not for cars, for ourselves. And that was the way why we start with all the people for exploration. Urban wandern, no? Il viandare. So for exploration. Viandante, no? So, promeneur. So, perdere tempo. We lose our time. But even when you start to lose your time, you get richer. In a city like Milan. And that was a certain kind of revelation that people said, okay, but what do you need? And then Expo 2015 and 2012, Letizia Moratti, our former mayor, came to us and said, I heard something about Green Race. Is this good? Oh yes, it's good. Okay, you can do this. Yes, we can do this. And because we lose our time there. We lose our time there to make exploration and to find our own landscape, even it is nice or not so nice. But it is here where it gets nicer than before. And then she said, okay, let us do it. And 1 week after, in the Dome Square, we saw manifest Green Race for Expo. And then after Abbado, Abbado and Renzo Piano, they comes in and said, okay, let us plant trees, 90,000 trees for Milan, but nobody wants it because the time was not right. But now the time is right. So you need to have an idea for bigger cities like Istanbul, now like Riyadh, Dubai, and to find the right time. People want to promote their own nature. And even it is something like a ficus, like here. It's a certain kind of nature, no? It is our own nature because we see what is important. To see that something happened. To see that it depends a little bit of yourself. Maybe a little bit water. To see that something is not static, but it is dynamic. And we are living in a more cultivating era where everything we want to understand is a dynamic way, not a static way. So we are out of industrialization process. Now we are coming in a more, what can we do, postmodern process. We are losing our own time because we have time, and we want to invest our own time to understand a little bit more and to earn in terms of quality of our life something. And so that's the reason why we need space, space, space. It's the ultimate luxury for us in all the cities. And we need space on the roof. We need space in the underground. We need space in the middle. So there's no one surface. And if you have a look to the new buildings, even Porta Garibaldi, Porta Nuova, even Piazza Garibaldi, we start with Piazza Garibaldi. Why? Because Jan Gehl from Copenhagen, 15 years ago, he was here, and then he said, Andreas, always remember, first people, then space, then architecture. First people. Nobody, no architect wants to hear this, no?
No.
First space, first people, then space, then architecture. And that's the reason why when you come to Corso Como, you go to the ramp, and you are in Piazza Garibaldi, and you feel free. You feel free, because you are without car. You are only with people, and you have space. That was the genius to start to earn space, even if there is no space. And that is our job, day by day. So it seems easy.
Behind you, I'm looking at you, and behind, I can see all of Milan. And of course, in the years, mayors, the cities, the administrations well know that you have to have green inside a city. You know, you have to break the cement with green. Do you think that it has been done in a proper way in the past years? Now, in Milan, first of all, since you work in Milan, but also in other big cities, do you think that they are really taking care of this?
Maybe in an administration way, yes. Because then they said, okay, people need 10 square meters, no? Then no, they need 16 square meters. And then they start to make a calculation. We have 16 square meters. But if people feel if there is nothing, it doesn't matter if you have 16 square meters.
It's psychological.
That is psychological. So we don't need only the green in our gardens, in our parks, in our courtyards. We need the green in our streets. We need the green in our squares. We need the green stepping out from our house. We need the green.
That's the Bosco Verticale.
That's iconic design for this time, the Bosco Verticale. You need to see the green looking out of your window. And that makes something happen, that it's not a quantity, but the quality of green, even if there are only 3 trees, but if the 3 trees are well positioned, and you see it in your line, in your walking line, and that is by walking in the city, you see something in your walking line, behind of you there's a tree, and you see this, it makes you nicer. No, it makes you love it.
I'm still the same, but the idea is nicer.
It seems a little bit better.
Tell,
Because you have the right line.
Thank you. Where's the tree? Okay. There is a real tree. No, because, you know, architects see things that other people don't see. Maybe there wasn't a tree, that he saw it. Okay, I get the point. Just one thing before we go to the inflammation point. Is it better to have a city like New York, which has a huge central park, or a place like Rome, which has several smaller parks?
Well, Heinz before said it very well. You need always both. It is the mix. Central Park is Central Park. It is a time by a time. Now then, exactly in New York, they have the pocket parks. Now they have the High Line, and now they have the Coastline, because they are crazy. Now they have the green into the houses, and I call it for you Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte. No, there are street there, or for Italian lasagne, because you don't have only a sockel where the vertical comes to the horizontal. You don't have only a sockel, but you have different levels, 5, 6, 7. Like a Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte. And more level you have, more disruptive you come in a building. And that is, I think, for the architects very important, but also for normal people like us, very important to come in a building, to come to the hill, Green Hill, and say, wow, no? I'm not only in a cube, but I'm in a landscape. Because that is maybe the most important thing, that thinking about landscape in a holistic way brings together everything. Because at the end, we are the landscape. We shaped our own landscape.
Of course.
And by every act...
mental and physical.
Mental and physical. And he started with his bicycle lines, 1,000 kilometers. And I'm sure next year, 5 years, doesn't matter. But I'm sure that will be the biggest green-blue infrastructure in the future. Because now he brings light in, he brings photovoltaic in, he brings everything in, but then we will come to plant millions of trees. And the generation, they will grow up with this million of trees. And then in 30 years, in 50 years, they will come back and say, oh, you remember? There are trees we plant together. So it's a generation project.
Did you want to say something, Mauro?
No, it's exact. Actually, yesterday I was in Abu Dhabi to discuss how implement all the bikeway, the bike paths with the trees. So with one of the company that they sponsor the team, now the project is to plant near to 10 million of
they're always
mangrove.
exaggerated. So
No. We start from that.
In
then we
Milan
will
they say
see.
1,000. There they say
No,
a million.
we
but
start
okay.
from 10 million and we will see. No, but it's true.
but
We
they-
was talking about
they can do it.
The mangrove.
Yeah.
That's probably is the trees that create more oxygen. So that is why in all bike path will be
Which
they
is
will be
also-
covered about.
Which is also interesting from a technical point of view of planting trees in a
Yeah.
place where there is no vegetation.
Yeah.
Okay. Fabio and Andreas, how did the connection between you come along? Why and especially what does a good landscape, since we're using this word, how does a good landscape lower the risk of inflammation?
But I see that I live really in Dubai. If you think it's incredible, in Switzerland I don't have a lot of place to bicycle, very dangerous. My friend Mauro has an accident 3 weeks ago. One car crashed Mauro.
Why don't you come to Rome?
And if you today you go bicycle in the desert, the circuit is 86 kilometers. That it's incredible. I leave my house by bike and I can ride for hours. It's incredible. And in the nature. It's just, how we say, right, Andreas, they interpreted the landscape in another way, in a modern way. They interpreted for me. I bicycle, I see the green, and even it's too warm. People speak about Dubai, and maybe they've never been. Of course, from 1st of June until 1st of October, you cannot bicycle. It's very difficult to bicycle. Yes, in the morning, but in the other 8 months, it's a dream. You bicycle on the sea. You bicycle in the desert, 86 kilometers without to see any noise, any person, any car, any bicycle in front, because you can go just in one direction.
See, oh, really?
And
if you drop something, you can't go back.
And when I go normally I wake up very early, go in the morning to do some kilometers. Begin when I starting, it was maybe, I don't know, 1,000 people. We speak from 1,000. Now in the track you see maybe 8,000, 9,000 people in the morning, 5:30. So it's even danger now to be in bicycle because they go.
So sooner you will be like Rome. Tell me, Andreas.
I only want to add it because really something happened. Because when we met together, we were very busy here in the district of Porta Nova. And then it starts the discussion about the 15-minute city. And 15-minute city is not only a question of walking around in a big city like Paris. They make now a lot of gardens. But 15-minute cities is also like for a small city like Milan. Because now people want to go out also after dinner by feet. Because they have a swatch here and they said, okay, only 5,000 steps. That's not enough. I need to go. So they have a reason to go out. Alone, both with a dog, with a cigarette. That doesn't matter. But they want to have a place to go out. But not in a garden. In an urban landscape. So what we try to do now in the European cities, and yesterday we have a wonderful discussion in our office, and one of our team was in Brussels for the new productive landscapes, the new European Bauhaus by our president Ursula von der Leyen. And we want to change some things that our cities starts to get urban landscape. Because it's different. If you say, I'm in a city, or I'm in einer urbanen Landschaft, in an urban landscape. Because landscape is positive. A city is not always positive, occupied by ourselves.
And to close this part and to go to Giuseppe Vercelli, you believe that living in a proper landscape, ambient, environment, reduces the stress, reduces the inflammation?
Absolutely. Because I make it by myself. 12 hours a day, very busy, a lot of projects, a lot of people, not always kind with me. No? So coming back from Bologna, coming back from Rome, in the station, railway station here. And if I come back immediately with taxi, so I have another stress with the taxi driver, because the taxi driver you have always stress. Or if I go with the underground, I have a stress with other people, then I come home and my wife have a look to me and said, go away, go away, go away, go away, there, because you need an anti-camera. But now, what is happening now? I'm coming in the railway station, going by feet, seeing my plants. We plant my trees, we planted 10 years ago, have a look to people, and said, okay, and step by step, I go home, 30 minutes, and then I come back to home, and I feel free. I feel really free, and so my wife feels free too. So
which is the most important
for
part.
myself.
Okay, we get that. Giuseppe, Giuseppe Vercelli, as I was saying before, has been working for the Juventus team, very victorious team in recent times.
The past.
For what did you say?
Very victorious team in the past.
In the past. Well, everybody has his own time, and which is quite an experience, because playing, being with players at that level, with that stress, with that ambition, with that competition, really draws a lot of energy from the mind. So, and you're also the coordinator of the scientific team. So I really want to know of this team. So I really want to know, from your point of view, we all say that the mind, you know, it's always a matter of the mind. No, well, if you can make something, if you can break something, whatever, it depends very much on your mindset. But tell us from your point of view, your experience, which is, you know, on another level, regarding to the person on the street that says the mind is very important. Say it from your point of view.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank Fabio Cavalli, because if we are speaking about these issues, is the genius of Fabio that put together all these people, and we had the opportunity to study something new that, okay, we can have the ideas of the low-grade inflammation, but we don't have the knowledge to manage this kind of disease. And to be honest, in the beginning, and I speak on behalf of all the expert team, we had some troubles because it was not easy to understand all the scientific trials and put together all the information. But after 2 or 3 years, we were very keen on these kind of issues, and we start to put in our own life what we studied all together with anti-inflammaging. And to go to your question, I can say that we have to look at the situation inside a framework that in Italy we call the epiteto framework. That means that the ancient epiteto tell us in the past that troubles are not regarding people, situation, or things, but are about how we perceive people, situation, and things. So our mind had the opportunity to change our perception of things and people and everything to better work with them. So basically, we have two kinds of stress within this framework. The acute stress that is regarding the activity that have a duration between 15 to 50 minutes, and the average is 35 minutes. And when we are doing this activity, anxiety grow up. And for example, when we have to do a public speech or an exams, or we have to a job interview or something like that, the anxiety grow up, and then we can go in stress. That means that the C-reactive protein increase, as Pietro said before. In this case, we can control this situation with simple exercises, for example, breathing or something like that. Then we have the chronic stress that is regarding a situation in which the stress is prolonged. For example, when you are in troubles, economic troubles, or you have a bad familiar situation, or you have to divorce or something like that. In this situation, you have to change.
Or marry sometimes.
Or marry, yes, sure. Yeah.
No. Your trainer ran away from the marriage once. You know that,
yeah,
right?
Sure. No,
Allegri notoriously was expected by the bride, and he didn't show up. You know, it's just like that. So you know very well the subject and the matter.
Yeah, it's a good idea and a good example, because about the marriage, if you want to marry, probably the stress is positive for you. If you don't want to marry, okay, the the low-grade inflammation grow up, for sure. And so Allegri become a good trainer. For
Yeah,
this reason.
he repeated the thing with Ambra, but it's, you know, he's a serial, but it's okay, it's okay.
Okay. So this is the main issue about the low-grade inflammation coming from the mind. So when you change your mindset, you can control the low-grade inflammation.
You can control it.
You can control, sure. You can control even when you recognize if what you are doing is under your control, 100% under your control, or is not under your complete control. For example, if I have to go in this terrace and I start from Turin to Milan, if I think about parking, could be
Yeah, sure,
negative for me.
sure.
Then if I arrive in this place and then I park on the ground, that's good for me.
Okay. And when you're talking about, you know, being in control of your own, that takes a lot of self-analysis. That, you know, somebody who understands if he's in control, not in control, how he can be in control. I think it takes somebody who is very concentrated and very knowledgeable about who he is and how he behaves. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think that awareness is everything, is all, because
Awareness,
if you
sure. Is the word, yes.
yeah, awareness is everything, and if you can recognize what is under your control, it's okay. Otherwise, you can. There is a term in psychological science that is the locus of control. Inside of that could be internal or external. If it is internal, means that you think that all what happens around you, it is depending on you. Even if you want to sell some ice cream to Eskimos, and you can't.
Yes.
Otherwise, the external locus of control means that if you fail, you think that it's not your fault, but it is depend on the other, and you have to recognize your locus of control. Personal.
As usual, a mix of the two is usually the best
For sure.
way, no? Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you deal with very competitive people. I mean, athletes, when they're pushed to the limits, are of course people who need to have a very strong psychological in themselves or a support from outside if they don't have it. Does that make them very different from the normal person as far as stress goes?
No, because everybody of us, we have to face and to figure out our personal daily challenge, and we stay well when we have our personal challenge to face, to figure out every day. So an athlete is a person that put the skills at the very, very high level, as we know. He had to control the pressure coming from the outside. That means that he has to use the mind state to control the power and the energy he loses thinking about that. When I work in Juventus, I use a model that helps everybody to face our daily challenge. That means that is Sfera, the Sfera model. That means that you have to control 5 main factors that help you to perform well. Sfera is acronymus. That means S is synchronicity. That means that you have to put body and mind together. Then F is forza. That means strength, obviously. And the strength means that you have to switch on your device, mental device, and identify yourself with your strengths. It is really different to go to the pitch for your match and think about what you are not able to do. If you go to the pitch and you switch on your device, you can put the attention on your skills, your ability, and so on. Then we have the energy. You have to balance energy. That means that for every activity, even this kind of activity, we have to stay in the middle. If we use too much energy, we are weak. If we use few energy, we are weak. We have to stay in the middle. And then we have the R, that means rhythm. The rhythm is the dimension of the quality, and when we perform well, we stay in the right rhythm with ourselves. So, for example, when we perform well, we have the control of our inner rhythm, from the heart, breathing, and so on. And the A means attivazione in Italian, that means enthusiasm. When we put enthusiasm in what we are doing, we have an added value in our life.
So when you have a perfect sphere, I suppose you have, the perfect mindset. What happens when one of or more of these are lacking? What do you do to support an athlete in which one of the elements of the 5 elements is missing?
Yeah, you start with helping the athlete to recognize this lack
Problem, of course.
And then
awareness.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have to act to modify. For example, if you are out of synchro, synchro means that the body and mind are splitted, and you have to put together again. For example, using the self-talk, that means that you can tell to yourself what you are doing, and you stay in this place right now and for a long time. This is useful also for concentration and focusing to the goal. If you have a lack of energy, probably you are in multitasking situation or in a multitasking mindset, but the science today tell us that multitasking is not possible or is very, very difficult. It is much more better using the switch tasking mindset. That means that I decide that I start with this thing, then the other, and then the other. When we think to be in a multitasking mindset, is not possible. That means that we are doing 1 second things, 1 second the other things, and then back.
It's the old saying, the proverbio, as una cosa alla volta, which is basically a popular culture very often translates into more sophisticated terms. Mauro, you recognize, since you are an athlete and you deal with athletes, he deals with athletes, you find common ground in what he's saying?
But of course, no, that is the balance, no, to be good in our life, not just to be a good sportler, to be the player. He can make the goal or win a race if he's a cyclist. To have a good equilibrium, that is the important. We can decide every day to be happy or not. It depends how is our vision, and sometimes we need an help to understand a motivation again and an opportunity to understand how we can move on, how we can choose to be or decide to be happy, and that is the base of the life, not only from the sport, but when we start from sport, then everything need to arrive under, no, and we should use the image of the player, not because they are good or nice or they have a good tattoo, but because they are good people and healthy people. And I think is the goal of the team, the team manager, the owner of the team, to be able to use the athlete, not to sell more shoes or clothes or something, but that is easily, that is natural, but to use the athlete real like an athlete, real like an example of healthy lifestyle. And that's, I think, what we are doing in cycling is good. I think in football that the players are so very more known in the world compared to the cyclists. I think you have a lot of space, a lot of opportunity to use this player to be an example in the good way, in the good of healthy.
And Giuseppe, from your experience working with this team, how much is a good mental health? How much does a good mental health impact on inflammation? on keeping low inflammation?
Yeah, today we know that the impact of mind in controlling low-grade inflammation is very high. Okay, all the 4 pillars of low-grade inflammation that we studied since 2016 are very important, and I mean the environment, the movement, and the nutrition. But this is the central control of our life, and we have to change our mindset and to recognize positive things during our daily routine, during our life, normal life. That means that sometimes we are looking for something that is not concrete. For example, when we talk about happiness, happiness is something that first is very personal. Everybody of us can understand or can imagine the happiness in his own way. It is better to put our attention on the little joys, and we can count our joys during our life. Then sometimes we talk about breathing. Breathing, everybody can breathe, obviously, but if we change our way of breathe, we can have an advantage. For example, if we have anxiety, and we want to control our anxiety, we have to inhale in 1 and exhale in 4. This is a little trick.
What do you mean by 1 and 4?
Inhale and exhale, counting 4.
Oh, okay.
Or
so
more.
Inhale fast and exhale slowly.
This can help you to relax your muscles and to control your thinking and so on. Or it is really important the image we are looking at, because bad images, for example, think about the porno. There are young boys that spend a lot of time in porno, and these bad images can change their relationship with the other sex. This kind of image, bad image, can work inside, and they can change your way to relationship with the others. Otherwise, the good landscape is wonderful because open your mind and help you to even to better solve your problem. If you have a problem in your mind and you look at very good landscape, probably this help you to solve the problem.
So it comes to me, we're closing now, so a few last questions. One thing that comes to my mind is the world we're living in, right? And I open the computer and I see a war in Ukraine, and I see a possibility of 400 million people with no grain, no food this year. And then there are accidents and war. The world is a very troubled place. Okay, how do you stay away from all this? How can you find your own inner peace, your inner world that sort of doesn't make you an alien in comparison with what's happening outside, but it makes you a preserved person, a person that can make his inner garden, no, as they say. How can you do that? How do you do that?
A very, very good question. I don't have the answer.
No, but I would like to know if somebody else can come in this, because we're talking about, we understood with the session of today, we understood that healthy living will get you a healthier lifestyle. A healthy lifestyle will get you a healthier living, and this is, it's intuitive. After all, no, we all know that if we eat well, we don't exaggerate with vices and this and that, we have a better lifestyle. Okay, but there's the outside. So how can, what is the proper way to isolate yourself from what's happening of bad in the world? And there's a lot of evil in the world.
Yeah, there is a concept in psychology that is the concept of emotional intelligence by Goleman. And you have to control, for example, empathy. That is very good to have empathy, but you have to control the level of empathy you are using in your day. because you have too much empathy, every kind of image can act inside you and can change your state of mind. On the other hand, probably in these times we have to be we have to use more cynicism in our life, cynismo. And
Be more cynic.
Cynic, yeah. And when something
Which is an ambivalent kind of declaration.
Yeah,
yes.
positive cynicism. So when something happens in the world, we have to generate our self-talk inside that is this is a fact. It's not positive, neither negative. It is only a fact. And with this mindset, probably we can control better. But we don't have all the answer at this question.
Does anybody else want to say something about this?
Well, I only want to add that when I start in the 80s to study Karl Popper, and you know Karl Popper, he gives us the idea that the whole life, our life, is problem solving, nothing else. So it is a certain kind of reality, the problem solving. But then now we are living in a special time where we understand that a lot of things depends of ourselves. And I think that is the most important changing and challenge and changing I understand by myself in the last 10 years, that until 10 years before, it seems that somebody else will think about it. Somebody else will solve the problem for you. The United Nations will do the best. The government will do their best. And we are sure that, okay, we can make holiday and then everything is fine. Now it's clear, and mainly for the next generation, that is the most important thing in the European community, that we have special thoughts about next generation. Nobody wants to do something in terms of climate change. You need to start. It's our decision if I want to have a car or not. It's our decision if I want to go every weekend to Mallorca or not. So that is, I think, we have a lot of data, but it's our decision what we want to do with it. So I think the ultimative ratio will be human beings. We come back as human beings, not only as citizens, human beings. So that means to pay attention, that means to make your right decision, that means to be a social being as a human beings. And I think that gives us a certain kind of hope for the future, for a better future, because we know very well that we were in the past not very well related to our own future, but now we want to make it better.
We do have to. Pietro, I started with you. Yes, I want to close with you. But you wanted to say something before?
No, just that these will help to make our cytokines low.
That's very nice.
From both parts, I heard many things that will definitely help to keep our inflammatory cytokines.
So everybody that was here this afternoon will have lower cytokines today.
That's correct.
Okay.
This
is like a blessing from Pietro Formisano. Okay, there's a colleague of Pietro, who is Michele Libetti, who works at University Federico II, Libutti, I'm sorry, who works with in the Federico II University in Naples as well. He's an oncologist. He's been working on inflammation for 9 years. Please, come here, Michele.
Hello, everybody.
So, from your point of view, which is like an expert point of view, what comes out of all this talk that we had today?
Thank you for the world, and hello, everybody. I'm very pleased to stay with you together today here in Milan. And what comes out from this important, I think important, very important meeting is the importance of interdisciplinarity. And the intelligence of Fabio Cavalli has been the intelligence of a man who has put all us together. So thank you, Fabio. And it's my pleasure to stay briefly with you today, because it's 9 years I organize a very important meeting, conference on inflammation, low-grade chronic inflammation in Naples, and with Pietro Formisano, without whom nobody is possible, I think, because he is the man who analyzes cytokines. And we decided this year to deliver an important...
Cytokines have entered our life.
Yes.
Today. We will always think about cytokines.
Every day and every night. And probably this year we had an idea to deliver an important award, the Inflammation Award, to the only company in the world who tackles the low-grade chronic inflammation, the Anti-Inflammaging company, again.
Who is
so
Fabio's company?
It's my pleasure to call my friend Fabio Cavalli to deliver to him and to all the co-workers this prize, this award, with the motivation on behalf of the faculty of the meeting for being the first company in the world to tackle the low-grade chronic inflammation and ameliorate public health with a free profiling platform based on scientific research on cytokines and lifestyle risk factors. Thank you, Fabio.
Thank you.